Rick Barnes, Tarrant County GOP Chair, thank you so much for joining us. So, what do you make of President Biden's trip to Fort Worth and specifically his discussion about the nation's obligation to veterans and making sure that they have access to health care if they've been exposed to any environmental problems during their military service?
Right, sure. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to share some thoughts. This president's an interesting president to be talking to the military, the way he handled the Afghanistan situation. The veterans that I've talked to are really disappointed in him, in his approach to working with our veterans, with military in general. But that said, at the same time, it's important that he comes out and has these conversations because our veterans have served our country. They've made the ultimate commitment, and they deserve the support from the president all the way down through the ranks. And so we'll see how this conversation goes. But I just know that a lot of veterans that I have conversations with lately have been very disappointed in his leadership.
As you know, this is part of what he calls, and the White House is calling, the unity agenda. They could go anywhere in the United States to do this. They chose Fort Worth. What do you make of that?
Well, the reality is they know that Tarrant County in particular is important to any campaign, any future leadership of both the country, the state, the leadership that we have come up in the 2022 elections. The struggle with this unity mindset is that as we're approaching $5 a gallon for fuel, that we look at the cost of consumable goods going up under his leadership. When we think about the southern border and that they're doing absolutely nothing to protect the southern border, this is going to be an interesting place for him to decide to go out publicly talking about unity. He has lots to do to make up for the realities of what his leadership is doing in this part of the country, much less in this county. And so I just don't think, frankly, that it's going to get the attention that he thinks it deserves. I don't think it's going to get the attention that he thinks he's bringing to this area. Because he has some other things he needs to talk about well before he starts trying to talk about unifying the country through these issues.
Let's talk a little bit about his poll numbers. And the last couple of polls have put him approval-wise 39 to 42%, disapproval 50 to 57%. His disapproval numbers were higher and approval numbers lower among independents. So what do you make of that?
Well, again, I think it's the exact same reaction that I think we're having to lots of other things in his leadership. He is not a leader of the country. He's not making the progress that he thought he would be able to make on these issues. These issues have actually got worse as we moved along. As I drove to work today, I was looking at the cost of diesel alone is already at $5 a gallon. And whenever you talk about, again, back to the cost of consumable goods, these are the things that affect people in their daily lives. And so it's very different than talking about big picture issues. These are issues that the daily taxpayers having to deal with. They're having to make decisions on how far they can actually drive to go to work. Are they actually going to be able to have family vacations as we approach a summer? Those types of questions, I think, are big issues for people. And with that, when those answers aren't being made, your approval ratings can't help but go down. And I don't think it's just on our side of the ticket. I think there's a number of people that might have supported him as the presidential candidate that are finding out that anything that he was talking about at that time is not being fulfilled through the leadership that he has in the White House.
And my last question to you is just getting back to, the question before about the importance of Fort Worth and Tarrant County. Why is it so important to Republicans and Democrats?
Well, we're the last remaining large county in the nation that is actually still red. We're still an extremely Republican county. When you look at our voter turnout in the primary elections last week, we met the primary election numbers of a presidential election in 2020. That's unheard of. The Republicans are wide awake in this conversation, and we're going to be making decisions in this next election that support that. And so I think everybody understands the importance of Tarrant County. If you want to win Texas, you've got to win Tarrant County. And if you want to win the country, you've got to win Texas. And so there's a a process that's taken place as we go through this election time period that all candidates are recognizing on both sides of the ticket. The good news for us is that we're ready. We showed it in our primary election, and we're going to be ready in 2022. And the Republicans are going to continue to gain strength and maintain our support in this area, regardless of who might come to town and regardless of under what topic they might come for their talking points.
All right, Rick Barnes, chair of the Tarrant County Republican Party. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jax. I appreciate it.